Good evening. I'm going to show you how to create an InDesign zine. So I started by going to New, Print, and then chose letter half. I'm going to start by going to Pages. In InDesign, we have these things called parent pages, which control how all the other pages in the book look. So I'm going to start by double-clicking on this, and I'm going to start editing the parent pages. The first thing I'm going to do is add an image placeholder. So I'm just going to click and drag over the left page, and it's going to leave a big old X. If I want to adjust the size of it, I'm going to hold the Command key, and then I can click and drag on the edges. I can later fill in this image placeholder. So now I'm going to add some text. I don't want to add it there. I'm going to add it over here just by dragging the text box, and I'm going to type big old text right here. Now to change the style of that, I'm going to highlight that text, and I'm going to go down to Properties. And it's a lot of stuff here, but I'm going to increase the font size to about 36. Maybe I'll go a bit bigger. All right, there we go. So to exit out of that, I just hold Command and I click out, but I'm just going to Command and drag it over to the left side. And guess what font I'm going to type? Helvetica Bold, of course. All right, so now what I want to do is add some paragraph text. So I'm going to drag another text box. Well, actually first, I want to save this. So I'm going to save the character style. I'm just going to call this one header, so that way I can reuse it later. So now I'm dragging a new text box, and rather than having to type a whole bunch and fill it up, I'm going to right click and choose Replace with Filler Text. And isn't that nice? It uses lorem ipsum text. Well, let's say I want to split it down the middle and have it split into two columns. Well, I scroll down to text frame and I just click that up arrow, and now we have two columns. How awesome is that? And as I drag the bottom, you can see they adjust. It automatically splits. Now, what if I want to get rid of this hyphen? Just uncheck the hyphen box. Very cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is have it so that I have one block of text flow into another block of text, because oftentimes we have to deal with that when writing long articles. So I'm going to reduce that, and you'll notice there's this little red icon here. Well, if we hold Command and click on that, bloop, bloop, it's going to have this special icon. So I'm going to click and drag, and it continues the text from one block to another. How cool is that? So now I'm going to adjust it. So that's just filling the top page. I added a little more text, but now you're probably wondering, Mr. Early, how do I get the text to wrap around an image like I see in magazines? Well, I'm going to answer that. I pressed Command D. I added this image, but as you can see, it's just too big. So I'm going to reduce it, but you can't just drag the edges like you think you would. You have to switch to the arrow tool, and then you have to hold Command while and the move tool, and then it's going to resize it. Also, make sure you're holding Shift as well, because otherwise it's going to get stretched out. But now I'm going to hold three modifier keys at once: Command, Shift, and Option, all at the same time. And if I do that, it scales it down from the center point. And it flipped it because I guess I did it too fast. And here we go. I'm going to move it into place. But you can see my image is on top of the text. So to move it to the back, I'm going to hold Command and press the left bracket key. And so now I'm behind the text. But how do I get this text to wrap around me? Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to click the pen tool over here, or press P, and I'm going to click and do a very rough outline. And you might be saying, John, that's really too rough. It needs to be more precise. But I would say, no, actually it doesn't. We actually want a little bit of space around me so the text isn't running right up against my image. And then you click the little blue button down where it says text wrap. But how do we get rid of this stroke? Well, I was trying to press Shift X. That's not what you want to do. You want to double click on the stroke color. And InDesign's so quirky that they make you go and click on that little H bubble first before you can access white color. So then you hit OK, and look at that. The text wraps around me. So cool. It looks like a real magazine. I can't believe how cool that is. All right, so now I'm going to add a whole bunch of pages, and look, it makes a bunch of duplicates. That's because it's going based on the parent page that I created above. So let's say I want to replace this filler text. Well, you'd think you could just click on it and edit it, but no. You actually, see, look, I tried texting. No, you click the arrow tool, and then you hold Command and Shift and click on it. Who would have thunk? So now I can edit it. So cool. And you would obviously do the same thing with text below. Now, what about this big filler image I have in the back? Well, I have another image of me in the distant future in a post-apocalyptic war zone. And clearly you wouldn't want to use this behind the text because it's way too busy and dark. But notice how I drag on that little circle. So what that does is moves the image within the frame. It doesn't move the frame itself. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So after looking at this beautiful masterpiece, which clearly I put a ton of time into, I'm going to package this thing up so that I can send it off to the printers. So I'm going to go to File, go down to Package, and then I'm just going to click Package. It says, you got to save it, pal. So I click Save, and I'm going to call this one Test. Save it on the desktop. It wants to create a folder now, so I'm going to call it test folder 1 because I already did this like 5 times. Now I'm going to click OK, and then OK again. It's packaging it up. And so now we can see, oh, there it is. Look, it included all the fonts we used, has all the images I used, it has the InDesign files, and look, it even made a nice little PDF for us. How cool is that? I love InDesign so much. I love it. I love it. I love it. Goodbye.